Breaking news! Baltimore Ravens fans are divided on the web regarding the latest developments. One of them is about wide receiver Diontae Johnson, whose situation with the team has taken an unexpected turn. This story has been simmering for weeks and is now reaching a boiling point. It all started when Diontae Johnson refused to play in the game against the Philadelphia Eagles, an act that raised suspicions and triggered a wave of speculation. But, as reports suggest, this frustration did not materialize overnight. Let's delve deeper into what is happening behind the scenes and why the Ravens are handling this situation the way they are. I want to know if you, Ravens fan, are you confident that we will go to the Super Bowl this year? If so, hit the like button. If possible, comment like this: "Go Ravens, I believe in the Super Bowl." About this Johnson situation, what do you have to say? Dude, seriously, the Ravens are known for signing players and not using them. Will we see that again? How annoying. From the start, Johnson's tenure with the Ravens has been rocky. After his first game with the team, in which he was targeted just twice, he tweeted, "There are two sides to every story." This cryptic message hinted at an underlying discontent. For many fans, it was shocking. Johnson had just joined the team, and the problems were already brewing. According to local reports, this frustration has been building for weeks. After several wins, Johnson was seen sitting at his locker looking visibly upset. Even with the Ravens' success, he wasn't celebrating. The reason? He wasn't being used. Johnson wasn't a standout on offense, rarely saw the field, and barely received any targets. This raises the obvious question: why did the Ravens trade for him in the first place? As fans, we expected Johnson, with his experience and accomplishments in the NFL, to have a meaningful role. When he joined the team, Josina Anderson reported that Johnson wasn't going to replace Zay Flowers or Rashad Bateman, but was expected to be the number 3 receiver. That made sense. The Ravens' receiving corps would get a significant boost in depth. However, Johnson's role never materialized. Despite staying on the roster alongside players like Nelson Agholor and Tylan Wallace, Johnson hasn't had a chance to make an impact. The frustration on both sides came to a head during the Eagles game. It's unclear when exactly Johnson refused to enter, whether it was early on, after Bateman went out, or later, but that refusal marked his breaking point. The Ravens, in turn, suspended him for the upcoming game against the New York Giants. But what's next? Many fans are asking, why don't the Ravens just release him? It's not that simple. There's a significant reason why the team may hold on to Johnson for the remainder of the season: the compensatory pick formula. Even if Johnson doesn't play another snap for the Ravens, keeping him on the roster could secure the team a compensatory draft pick. This is where the business side of football comes into play, and as many have said, it's a nasty business. The parallels to other situations in the NFL are striking. The Dolphins, for example, retained a player's rights but refused to let him play elsewhere. Now the Ravens hold all the power with Diontae Johnson. Whether he pouts, refuses to play, or requests a release, the team has the upper hand. Johnson's case is further complicated by the fact that he's in a contract year. Other teams are watching closely, evaluating how both Johnson and the Ravens handle this. For Johnson, his ability to show he can still contribute in the NFL is critical to securing his next contract. Unfortunately, his time with the Ravens has offered little evidence of his value on the field.
What makes this situation even trickier is the message it sends to the locker room. Reports have surfaced about quarterback Lamar Jackson trying to lift Johnson's spirits after games, talking to him for 10 to 15 minutes at a time. But it seems the frustration runs too deep. This dynamic has implications not just for Johnson, but for the entire team culture. The Ravens are known for their strong locker room and camaraderie, but situations like these can test those bonds. For now, the team seems to be taking a wait-and-see approach. While it's easy to speculate that Johnson won't be with the Ravens much longer, the compensatory pick and other factors may keep him on the roster. Fans are left wondering if this is a one-off issue or part of a larger pattern with the Ravens' offense and how they manage their personnel. Johnson's frustrations echo other concerns, like Rashad Bateman's recent Instagram post that raised eyebrows. Are these isolated incidents, or do they point to deeper issues within the offense? As the Ravens prepare for their next game, the focus shifts to how the team will handle the fallout from this situation. Will Johnson's suspension be a wake-up call, or is the relationship beyond repair? And if he remains on the roster purely for business reasons, what does that say about the state of the team? Ravens fans, we want to hear from you. What do you think about the Diontae Johnson situation? Should the team cut ties and move on, or is it worth holding onto him for a potential compensatory pick? How do you feel about the way the Ravens have handled this, and what would you do if you were in their position? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep this conversation going. As we dig deeper into this unfolding saga with Diontae Johnson, it's impossible not to question what went wrong between the wide receiver and the Ravens. The front office, known for its calculated decisions, certainly brought Johnson on board with a plan in mind. So how did this relationship deteriorate so quickly? For fans, this isn't just about one player, it's about understanding how the team manages its roster and what this means for the future. Johnson, an experienced veteran, came to Baltimore with high expectations. While he wasn't expected to take over as the top target in the Ravens offense, his skill set seemed like a perfect fit for a team looking to improve its passing attack. The Ravens had just retooled their receiving core in the offseason, and Johnson was brought in as a reliable option to complement Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, and Mark Andrews. Yet, despite this promise, Johnson's opportunities never materialized. In the Ravens offense, where Lamar Jackson thrives with weapons around him, Johnson's minimal role was perplexing. This wasn't just a case of limited snaps, it was a glaring lack of involvement. Johnson wasn't targeted enough to make an impact, and his frustration was palpable. For a player who had been a key contributor in previous seasons, this sudden irrelevance must have felt like a professional slight. His tweet following the first game, "There are two sides to every story," now feels like the first public crack in the relationship. What makes this story even more compelling is the backdrop of the Ravens season. This is a team that's been performing well, staying in the mix as a contender in the AFC. However, for Johnson, the team's success didn't offset his personal struggles. While fans celebrated wins, Johnson sat silently at his locker, visibly unhappy. His emotions spilled over during the Eagles game, where he reportedly refused to enter the game. This act wasn't just a reaction to the moment, it was the culmination of weeks of frustration. Now, with Johnson suspended for the upcoming game, the Ravens face a delicate balancing act. Cutting him outright might seem like the simplest solution, but as mentioned earlier, the compensatory pick formula complicates things. Keeping Johnson on the roster, even in a limited capacity, could benefit the team in the long run. However, this approach has its risks. By retaining a disgruntled player, the team risks sending the wrong message to the locker room. It also places head coach John Harbaugh in a challenging position. How do you maintain unity while dealing with a situation like this? What's clear is that the Ravens are handling this situation cautiously, likely weighing every option before making a final decision. Johnson's refusal to play could be seen as insubordination, but from his perspective, it might be the only way to voice his dissatisfaction. Meanwhile, the front office and coaching staff must tread carefully to avoid alienating other players or creating further distractions. This situation also brings up a broader issue with the Ravens' offensive philosophy. While the team has shown flashes of brilliance this season, questions linger about how the offense is managed. Johnson's frustrations mirror concerns raised by Rashad Bateman earlier in the year. Bateman's cryptic Instagram post calling out the organization hinted at deeper issues. Are these isolated incidents, or do they reveal a systemic problem in how the Ravens handle their receivers? For fans, these questions strike at the heart of what the team is trying to build under offensive coordinator Todd Monken. Ravens fans, now's your chance to weigh in. Do you think the team should keep Johnson on the roster for the sake of a compensatory pick, or is it time to cut ties and move on? How do you feel about the way this has been managed, and what impact do you think it could have on the team's chemistry moving forward? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to stay tuned for updates on this evolving story.